Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I am I am excited to have you here this morning. Thank you for joining me. We are going to be talking about listing action plans and how you can really manage your listing marketing plans to better promote your listings and hopefully gain more listings as well as you're going to listing appointments or having listing appointments virtually with clients. Before we jump in today, I want to do a couple quick tech checks. One, I want to make sure that you can hear me. Two, I want to make sure that you can see my screen. And three, I want to make sure that you know where that chat box is on the left-hand side of your screen. So if you can go ahead, drop me a line. If you can hear my voice, you can see my screen. You'll locate that chat box. It's on the left-hand side of your screen. It says chat. And you should be able to drop a line in there. Let me know that you can hear me, you can see me. I would also love to learn a little bit more about you. Where are you joining us from? I do recognize some names on the call today, and I'm glad that you're here. For those of you that are joining me, for those of you that this is your first webinar, I would love to learn more about you as well. So just going to give everybody a chance to drop. Hey, Jen. Hey, Elsa. Or Elisa. Sorry, Elisa. You're not Elsa. We've got about 20 people on the call this morning. Hey, Laura. Cecilia, Bob, Carrie, Matt, Ellen, Dave, Stephanie. Can you all hear me? Elisa, I answered all of them too. Chelsea, Casey, Kelsey. We have an ongoing joke at our company that my name is Casey, and when Casey drops the ball, then she's like the worst coworker. And when she is when she's really on it and on top of it, we give Casey all the awards. And it all came from like a like moment in like a big discussion about things, and someone was like, "Hey Casey, what do you think?" And I was like, "I think they're talking to me. I think that's me." Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're all here. Really, the goal of today, and for those of you that have been on this series for about the past 4 weeks since we all went into more of a lockdown situation, I've been working really hard during our calls to talk about things that you can use within the system to really set your business up for success once we head back into a more normal state. So today what we're talking about is listing action plans. And I know based on some of the names and companies that have dropped in this chat box that some of you are brand new users to Office. I also recognize some of the names in here that some of you have been using Office for quite some time. So what I want to do before we jump all the way into action plans is just give you a little view on where you access your listings, how they're pulling into the system, and that side of things. So you can access your listings by going to the listings tab here. You can also go to the active listing gauge on your main dashboard. Now, when you click here, it is going to open up and you're going to see all of your listings. From within this screen, the section that we are talking about today is this actions tab here. So when I go to this actions tab, I'm actually going to delete this action plan. You can see that there's some items that have been added. And for every listing, much like you have actions for clients, you can go in and you can attach action plans to your listing. Now, the goal of a listing action plan or a contact action plan is that you are creating follow-up items, marketing items to build your business. If you would like to add an individual item, so we're going to talk about building full plans, but what I really want to just quickly touch on is, what if I have a one-time event before we go into a full plan? I have a one-time event. I need to make sure I do it for a particular listing. I can go in, I can select my listing. if I'm someone that carries a large listing load, you can absolutely use this search guide here to type in the MLS ID or the address, and it will filter your listings. Or you can scroll through and simply click on that listing. When you do that and go to the Actions tab, there's a plus new button in the upper right hand corner. And so I can manually add individual actions to a listing. Maybe this is something like the seller called you. So the seller calls Julia and says, hey, Julia, I know we put a sign on this corner, but I think we need an additional sign. It's not something you're necessarily doing for every listing, but you need to schedule that sign to go up and follow up on it. I can go in and I can say, check on second sign install, and I can type a description. When I do that, I choose the day and the time. I'm going to check on it on the 30th at 10 a.m. So know that before we jump into the entire action plan that we're going to speak about today, Linda, I see your note. It is possible to add individual actions. And again, you open up your listings, you click on that listing, you go to the Actions tab, and you click plus new in the upper right-hand corner. So that is how you can add an individual listing action item. What we are going to move into today is how do you go in and really create a plan that you can auto attach to your listings so that when you are out and about and you're taking new listings, you can make the system work for you. So how do you go about that? And when you do that, you're going to go in and you're not going to go to your listings tab. You're actually going to go to your tools or preferences tab. So underneath my tools and preferences, I can click on my action plans. And this is where I can really build action plans to apply to my listings. So I go to my action plans and then I'm taken to my main action plan dashboard. So again, if I want to add an individual item to a listing, I click on the listings. If I'm going to create my own action plan, I'm going to the tools and preferences, my action plans. Now, do I have anyone on the call today who is an office administrator or a staff member of a real estate team? If you're a staff member or awesome. So for those of you who are a staff member of your team, cool. You can absolutely do these and set these up company-wide. So for Jen and Candace who say, yes, I am, you can say, hey, as a company, we have a 12-step marketing program that we coach our agents on. You know, it's the sign install, it's the flyers, it's all of that. You do have the power, Jen. Everything we talk about today, you can go into this admin tab and there's an action plans button here. So if you are an agent, you're going to go to tools and preferences, my action plan. If you're an admin, you're going to go into the admin button and go to action plans here. Now, when I click on admin, my action plans, or admin action plans, you'll notice that I have a very similar looking action plans. The only way to know where you're at is what path did you take. If you're an agent on the call, you don't worry about it. You will not see this admin button. Only staff members see this admin action plan button. So creating and using an action plan is very similar for both parties. And I just got to clear my cache here really quick. So I'm going in, my action plans. The first thing I want to do is I want to create a new action plan. So I'm going to click on that plus new button in the upper right-hand corner. You'll notice that this plus new button in the upper right-hand corner for an action plan was the same place it is for a listing if they want to add an individual listing. It's the same place for adding a new campaign. This new button is going to be in the same place no matter what part of the platform you're in. And the first thing I'm going to do is name my action plan. So last week we talked about contacts and lead action plans. Today we're going to be talking about listing action plans, and I'm going to call this my 12-point marketing action plan. You can name your action plan whatever you'd like. If it's a new listing action plan, if it's a relist action plan, if it is a sold listing action plan, if it is a new construction action plan. But as you're building the plan, think about what type of listing you're going to attach it to. It might be a vacant land. It might be a residential. It might be a farm and ranch. You can create as many action plans as you would like. Then I'm going to choose the action plan type. We're going to today be creating a listing action plan. So I've named this my 12-point marketing action plan, and I've done this as the action plan type, listings. I'm going to apply this to my listings. I then click save in the upper right-hand corner. I know my action plan is created because it slides out from the right-hand side of the screen, just like my contacts do, just like my listings do, just like my transactions do. And then I've got this screen here. Francis, that's a great question. So the question is, are there any template action plans available? So within the system, there are a couple template action plans that are programmed in the system. At this time, those template action plans are not something that you can edit. And I'm going to show you how to access those in just a little bit, Francis. So the answer to your question is yes, there are some. There are also companies that have created action plans. So there's company templated out action plans as well. Does that answer your question, Francis? I'm going to get into how you choose them, where you find them, and that part in a moment. Linda, how am I doing on speed? Better pace? Yep, no worries. So now I just exited out. So I had my listing action plan open. I closed it out because I wanted you to see it in this list. No worries. This is also going to be recorded, so you're going to get a copy of this recording today. It'll come from hey@backatyou.com, so you'll have a full recording of this session as well. So underneath this 12-point marketing action plan, and for any of the action plans that you create, you can go to that edit actions button on the right-hand side, and you can edit it. So I can click on edit, and then I can add items. So at any time as you're working your plan, you can always go back in and add things to these action plans. Now, one of the biggest questions I get asked is, where do I even start? Where do I even start with creating an action plan so that I know what's going on? With any action plan, this is where I personally start. I say, okay, I'm listing Kathy's house. Kathy's my client. I'm listing her house. What are the promises that I'm making to Kathy at the listing appointment? Hey, I'm going to put a sign up. I'm going to do a virtual tour. I'm going to host an open house. I'm going to do this online publication. What are those lists of promises that you're making to that client at listing appointment? What does that look like? Write that list down, and then let's go in and digitize the list. For me, there is something that is still very real and tactile about writing my list. And then once I've written it down, I've had some time to scratch it out and process it, then I can digitize it in a way that's effective for me. If I digitize it first, I end up going back and I don't feel like I've got as good of a flow when I'm just digitally doing things. So I like to write it out first, scratch things out, move them around, make sure I've got it right, and then I like to digitize it as the final point. Does that make sense, Salia? That's a good place to start if this is an overwhelming process for you. Write down your list. What are your promises? And then go in and refine how you're digitizing it. So once you've got that list and you're ready to go, you can add items to your list by clicking the plus items button across from the items. So we can add items in here. And as I click plus item, you'll notice the pop-up screen that appears. And I can go in, and the first thing I'm going to do is choose the item type. So I say, okay, the item type is automatic system email. Is it a follow-up request? Is it adding the seller to a campaign? Is it ordering a marketing item? Is it sharing on social? What are these items that I'm choosing from? If you are choosing something that is automatic system email or add to campaign, you need to create the content first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go into marketing and you would create that content first. After your marketing content is created, then you're going to go in and create your action plan. So if you have congratulations on your new listing, you say, okay, Kathy, I'm super excited we're listing your home. Here's the list of expectations that you can have from me as your agent. As soon as your listing is live on my company website, you're going to get an email that says, congratulations, your listing is live. And that email is going to have just some information. It will link to my website so you can really go in and get information. And there'll be some other things that I'm setting up for you along the way. That's a letter you can write. We can go through how you write that letter. I know there's some of you on this call who probably are like, hey, I want to review how to do that. We can do that in this call. I'll do that towards the end and wrap up some loose ends there. But let's just first add an item that's an automatic email. Okay, the first thing I want to happen is an automatic system email. I want this to be my seller notification of listing is live. So I'm going to name my item first. Let me scroll in here. Is that a little bit easier to see if I scroll in like that for y'all? Yes, no, maybe so. Was it better to be scrolled out or is it better when I scrolled in? Awesome. Okay. So I've got my item name. I've got my item type. I've got my item name. And then I'm going to put in a subject line. I'm going to have to scroll out here in a minute so we can see everything that's on this screen. But this subject line is what is the email that's going out to the client. So I'm going to say, congratulations, your listing is live. Now, if I misspell a word, if you have spell check enabled on your browser, it will alert you of misspelled words. Just so you know. Then I'm choosing when is this due. So far I've chosen the type. I've given it a name for me. I've given it a subject line for my client. And I want this to be due immediately. You'll notice on the right-hand side here, there's a due after days and a time. If you choose immediately, it disregards the time. It does it immediately. So if you put the listing in MLS and it goes live, you put it in at 12 a.m. because you're a night owl, it goes live in MLS immediately. We pull it 5 minutes later, then it's going to go out immediately. So, hey, as soon as it's live. If you want it to go out the next day so that you have some time to edit that listing on your site, no big deal. You choose when you want this to go. I'm going to leave this as immediately. And then I'm going to scroll down and choose some options. So I've got some options. I can change it. So if I want it to be immediately, but I want the system to wait like 30 minutes, hey, I'm going to put the listing in. I need it to wait like an hour. Give me an hour. I can do that. If I want to be copied on the email, so if I want to be blind copied, all I'm going to do is type in my email address here. And now I'm blind copied. And here's where I have to scroll out a quick minute. So I can start to type my content name. We're going to get there, Elisa, just a second. We're going to make our action plan first, and then we're going to set our default action plans. I can either type my content Or if I want to browse my content, I can click this magnifying glass. Oop. On the right-hand side, and I can browse my content or my company content. So I'm going to browse my content. I'm going to go in. I'm going to find my listing letter that I created. New listing agent email. And I'm going to send this to the seller. Okay? So I'm sending it to, I'm choosing my content. I'm choosing who I'm sending it to. And then I'm choosing this portion. So for all listing action plans, you have the choice for each item on if you want that to be visible to the seller. And what that looks like is this. So if I log into my seller portal, I can see my listing here, and it will say action plan items, and it will list the items. So if you want individual items to be available to your seller in their portal, underneath this visible to seller, you choose yes or no. I'm going to say, hey, I don't want this email to be visible. I'm going to click save. Now, if I want to go back and I want to edit that individual item, can I? Yes. I go to actions, I click edit. Hey, I said I didn't want this to be visible to the agent. I do. I want that to be visible. I click save, and now I've got that item in there. So I can add automatic emails. Some examples of automatic emails that may go out are, congratulations, your listing is live. Hey, your listing's been on the market a month. Let's schedule a time to grab a cup of coffee and talk about what we can do to market your property more. Checking in to see how things are going. We're 14 days in. All of those onesie, twosie emails that you're sending out through your email to check on your sellers, you can have as individual emails in a listing action plan. They do not need to be part of a campaign. You can have them be part of an action plan as individual email items if you would like. Now, you may have something that is add them to a campaign. And maybe you have a post-transaction email campaign that you want people to be automatically added to. I'm going to choose that item type of add to campaign. I'm going to say this is a transaction or past listing campaign. I want this to be due. I want it to happen immediately as soon as that listing is live. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to choose that campaign. So I'm going to say, hey, here's that campaign that I want to add them to. And I click save. So I can absolutely add them to a campaign. And that acts very similarly to the way it does in the customer action plan. So there are other items that I want to touch on though. There's one that is order your marketing items. So within the system, you can order postcards. So if you want to order your neighborhood postcard, alerting all the neighbors, or maybe asking the neighbor if they want a home valuation, that's great. I'm going to do a neighbor postcard. I'm going to have that due a week after it's listed. And I work on all my marketing stuff at 9:30 in the morning. Again, is it visible to the seller? Yes or no? And then I'm going to click save. So I can continue to add items. Some of the other items in here are, so I've ordered a micro marketing item. If you want to do a social share, so if you want to share this on share local article on LinkedIn, you tell your sellers as part of it, hey, about 14 days into it, I'm going to write an article about your neighborhood. I'm going to post it on my LinkedIn. Again, these are ideas of what you could do. These are not what you have to do by any means. I'm going to click yes. I'm going to have it visible to the seller, and I'm going to click save. I could go in and I could add something like I'm connecting the seller. I need to make sure the seller is connected to my listing. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say add seller. That's due immediately. It's not visible to the seller in the portal, and I click save. Some of the other items, Cecilia, what company are you with? I'm just making myself a note. I can't help you with that. So some of the other items that are in here are seller reports. So setting up your seller reports, setting up your showing preferences. Some of you on this call, your companies are using the software to set up your showings. So reminder to go in and put in your showing preferences. Share the website URL, add the video tour or the virtual tour. So all of these are your choices, but adding these items is all very similar. I click the plus button. I choose the item type. Hey, I'm going to add the seller reports. I'm going to say set competition, report, parameters. I'm a horrible speller this morning. Hey, I want those reports. I'm going to do that after maybe 7 days so that, hey, there's some time for that data to accumulate, and I can click save. Once you've added all your items here to your action plan, I'm going to click save. I'm just someone that believes in clicking save all the time. You can then attach these to your listings individually if you would like. So the first thing we're going to go through is, okay, if I want to just manually add action plans to my listings, I'm not ready for the whole automation side of this. How do I do that? So again, you're going to go into your listings tab and click on your listings. Once you go in and I click on that listing, I'm going to go to the Actions tab here, and I'm going to click next to Action Plans. There's a button that says Add. So, Francis, this is how you're going to see your company action plans as well as your own action plans. I'm going to click Add, and a pop-up is going to come up with all of the available action plans that I've got. So I've got new listing action plans, I've got luxury action plans, I've got resale action plans. Depending on what your company has put in there, the default ones you'll see are called BAY. So Bay New Listing Action Plans is a templated one in the system. I'm going to check though my 12-point marketing action plan here. If I want to check more than one action plan, I absolutely can do that. And then I'm going to click save. And when I do that, the action plans are going to populate. Also, when I am in the seller portal, that seller portal is going to automatically update as well. Now, I want you to notice I just added this 12-point marketing plan. And in the seller portal, it has things that are selected. So if I scroll down and I look on this action plan, I can see that the report parameters is crossed out. The add the seller is crossed out. So if you have already done things that are on your action plan, it is automatically going to do those for you. Elisa, I see your question. I'm going to come back to it. All of these items for the to-do are populating on your main home screen under your to-do gauge. So I'm going to go in just really quickly and act as the listing agent so that you can see this. I go in, I can see he's got an item that's due today for his listing. If he goes out 14 days, look, here are all his listing action plans. It shows the name of the client, so it's going to show your seller's name. It's also going to show the address of the home. The little icon on the left matches the listings icon on the left main screen here, so that you know and you can easily at a glance tell the difference in a listing follow-up versus a contact follow-up. So again, we were in looking at our listings. We wanted to manually attach an action plan, so I selected my listing. I went into actions and I clicked this plus add action plan here. Now, Elisa asked, can the items be moved up and down if we decide, oops, that task should go before or after? And the answer to that, Elisa, is yes. So what she's talking about is in the tools and preferences when I'm looking at my action plans. I've got to stop acting as Will really quickly. So I'm looking at my action plans. Here's my 12-point marketing. And I say, I want to change this set report parameters. I can go in, I can choose this, and I can change the due after days. Hey, I want this to be on day 5 instead of day 7. So you can't drag and drop, but you can click actions and edit, and you can choose the days after, and you can change those individual items. Elisa. The other thing you can do is, hey, I applied my 12-point marketing action plan to this listing. Yeah. And I actually need to change and customize some of these things for just this listing. Like I promised this client that I'm going to do a local article, but I'm going to do it in the first week. I can go within my action tab for that specific listing. I can edit this. I can change the due date and click save. So you can either change your master plan or you can edit individual items within the listing. If things need to be shifted, it only affects this listing. It does not affect your overall action plan. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, if you could drop a yes or a no in the chat box, that helps me so I'm not just talking to a computer screen. Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you. So I can go in, I can manually attach action plans. And for those of you that maybe have a book of business that is really customized and maybe you don't carry as large of a listing load, sure. Attaching listings to or action plans to listings one at a time is something that's manageable. But in the scheme of things, it would be much better if you could have a new listing go live and an action plan was automatically attached. Yes, that would be a nice feature to have and a nice ability to have. And you can do that. So, Elisa asked earlier, so that auto email is tied right into the system. So as soon as your system sees a new listing, that email can go out. And the action to that, Elisa, is as soon as that action plan is attached to that listing, that email can go out. But you have to tell the system to do that. So to do that, you're going to go to your name in the upper right-hand corner and go to your profile. And this is a preference. So you're going to go to the preferences tab. And about halfway down, you're going to notice there's a section that says default action plan. So you can set an action plan for all of your new listings. To do that, you're going to click on the magnifying glass on the right-hand side and then select, okay, My 12-point marketing action plan gets applied. I can click save. You can only have one default just listed action plan. And so if you have things that are special to land or luxury or resale, you might have a 12-point marketing action plan default in the system. And maybe one of your items in that action plan. So I went back to my tools and preferences. I'm editing my 12-point marketing plan, is a follow-up item that is attach specialty action plan. If this listing is a specialty listing, luxury, land, farm and ranch, attach additional plan. I want that to be due the first day after the listing is live. I click save, and that can be something that just is happening. The system's just reminding me to do that. So that when you as the agent are going in and you're looking at your to-do list, so I'm going to go back into that demo account here. I can see anything that I've got going on. Kathy, that's a great question. So the question is, are there pre-populated action plans or do I need to create? And Kathy, that depends on a couple things. One, there are some action plans that are populated into the system. Those are called BAY action plans, so Bay action plans for back at you. And when you go into the actions and click plus add, it will show that. So this is a back at you new listing action plan. But your company may have created action plans as well. And if your company has created action plans, you'll be also able to see your company created action plans in that list. Yeah, absolutely. It will tell you underneath the type after you've added it. I can see the 12-point marketing action plan is a user. I created that. The new listing action plan is a company. And if I add the company new listing action plan, and then I want to go in and I say, hey, I actually want to install the lockbox and sign. That actually I don't do for the first week. I can edit individual items on this action plan and say that's actually going to happen on May 5th. So I can change things individually per listing if I need to without affecting the main action plan. So that is 100% something that you're capable of as well. Other questions? We've been talking about listing action plans for about 40 minutes. I did let you know at the beginning that I was going to make sure y'all knew how to go into the Marketing Center and create content if you want me to show you that. And I would love to move into that now. Before I do that, I want to make sure there are no other questions for me to answer. Any other questions on how to create those listing action plans, how you attach them to a listing, or where you go to set your default action plan? Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome. So as you were creating your action plan, there was some options for adding content or adding individual campaigns. You have to create your marketing content first. So you're going to go to marketing and my saved content. And then if you have a letter, so you have your new listing letter, we're going to add content here. And we're going to walk through the wizard that tells you how to create new content. So hang tight as that screen's popping up. And to do this, I'm going to choose my blank content 1. And so for that blank content 1, I'm going to name this my new listing letter. And I'm going to have this be in the category of listing letters so that I can sort easier as I'm creating new content. Now I'm going to click this box here, and that's going to allow me to edit. Something that's really cool that often gets overlooked is this add to text feature up here. Let me make it bigger. So there's an add to text box, and this is a drop down where I have a lot of items. So I can actually go in, I could say, hey, contact first name. I am excited to let you know that your listing is now live on my website, my company, and all of my coworkers' websites. If you want to view your listing, you can find it here. Now, I can click to add to text. When I go down, one of the things that is in here is my agent website address. So I may say you can find it on my site. Here. I can then add a couple periods. I can say, things like, as we move through this listing process, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help and support you through the transition out of your home into your new home. I've also set up your seller portal, so you'll be receiving automated reports. If I want to include what my 12-point marketing plan is in this email, I can do that. This is the email that is actually going to go out to your clients. Then I would say, hey, I'm going to add my email address. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to say, hey, from agent email signature, select, and I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to click save here. My content is saved. That's a great question. So the question that just got asked is, essentially, and I have to Google, is there an action plan for us about how to create an action plan? There's not, Elisa. I can make a quick bulleted list and I can absolutely share it with you. This is your action plan. First, make a list of what you want included in your action plan. That's step number 1. What do I want included in my listing action plan? I want these steps. I want these letters. I want this drip marketing campaign. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to go in, create your marketing content that are your automated emails. I'll put it on the Facebook group, and so I'll make sure y'all know where that is. So I'm just writing myself a note. On Facebook. Okay, so step 1, write down my list of all the content and everything I want included. Step 2, go to the marketing tab and create my content. After I've created all my content, then I'm going to go step 3, tools and preferences, my action plans, and I'm going to create my action plan. Step 4 is going in and attaching my action plan as my default action plan. So 4-step process. 1, make your list. 2, make your content. 3, make your plan. 4, set your default plan. And yes, I will post those 4 steps. And I will tag all of you in that post. I will tag all of you in that post if you agree to share your action plans that you're creating in the comment section. So that everybody that's participating today can really see what other people are doing and we can do some idea sharing. And I'll post one of my action plans in there too, in the comments. So the last piece of this is, how the heck do you get to that Facebook page so that you can see that 4-step process, see everything that everybody's sharing, find other webinars, and ask questions. So our Facebook group is called Back at You Office Masterminds. I'm going to drop that link in the chat box for you. So if you click here, you'll have to request to join. We're watching this all the time. This is a great resource for you. Then the other resource you have is our YouTube channel. So if you type in Back at You Office to the YouTube, you can absolutely access our YouTube channel. All of our webinars are posted both on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page, and you get an email from hey@backatyou.com. So that you're getting that information. The last thing I want to tell you about is we do have a location online where you can see all of our upcoming trainings. So all of our upcoming trainings are listed here. We're scheduled out for about the next couple of weeks. There will be more sessions coming so that you can access this page. Again, I'm just dropping these links in the chat box. If you click on the links in your chat box, it does open them up in a separate page so that you can save those as bookmarks. So the challenge for all of you now is, 1, write down the steps for the action plan for a listing that you want to have. 2, create your content. 3, create your action plan. 4, set your default action plan. And if you can do that by next Monday, you will be ahead of the game. So you have a week. I am going to, on our Facebook page, I'll post those 4 steps. I'll post an example action plan for y'all to see, so you can access it. I would challenge all of you to also comment on that post and share some things that way as well. We are just about to 10 to the hour. I want to make sure that if you have any questions for me, I am answering them. Are there any questions that I can answer for you all today before we wrap this session up? You're welcome. I love my Monday morning sessions. This is an incredible tool. Cecilia, I'm going to get back with you. I'm going to round up with you probably this afternoon. I'm on Pacific time, so I'm doing some catching my tail this morning, but I've got a note here for you. Again, this is recorded. You'll get a copy of the recording. Jen, I believe the answer to your question is yes. Absolutely. Other questions for me? Thank you all so much for joining me. Candace, you need to look for an email in your inbox from hey@backatyou.com. And it usually says something like, it might go to your team leader. You can always find those recordings on our Facebook page, though, also on our YouTube channel. So as soon as I'm done here, I'll render the video. It takes a little bit of time, but they always go up the same day. And there's a playlist that is webinars. So every webinar I've ever done is posted here. There's 91 of them. That's crazy. So a ton of webinars here. 91 public webinars. That's really insane. Awesome. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Happy Monday. And we'll talk to you soon.